sometime this afternoon, and really it's about the team, more about the teams, to see how the cars are going to react in that type of situation with all the air moving around.
With the old car, we were talking briefly about the number was about 206 you saw. What's your magical number with this car here this weekend?
Yeah, there's no magic. When we were at the 206 range down here last year, we went back and we took a little bit out of the plate, but we really went to work on the cooling systems. And we came back here with a different grill opening and configuration just to do away or to limit the push drafting. And so we accomplished that. We've got that knowledge on how to do that and cut that down some. So there's not a magic number, there really isn't, but the cars are pretty stable. We're comfortable with a pretty good number up there on the board.
NASCAR, the fans, and the competitors, guys, excited to see these cars out pack racing here today, just to see what else we can learn with this new Gen 6 car.
I think broadcasters are excited too, because when the pack rolled out, we were all like, there they go,
come on, let's talk about what we see on the screen here. These cars are all out there on the track. It's what we've been waiting for. One thing that the drivers, I heard them all complain a little bit about yesterday, was the gap. If you watch these guys, they're having trouble getting up to the rear bumper of the car in front of them. If you notice, these cars are almost equally spaced out. There's a gap in there that they're having trouble closing with the way this car is.
Is there an air cushion that gets created between these cars?
Well, last year there's what we would refer to as a bubble, a big bubble of air, and you could get in that bubble of air, and it was pretty big, and the car behind could get right up to the car in the front of it. This year the bubble's much smaller, and it's making it harder to get up to the back bumper of these things.
Yeah, this new Gen 6 body, this car, it pokes a smaller hole in the air than the old car. And I think that's another thing that has created the situation they're faced with.
Yeah, more air is coming off of this car. The spoiler is so much smaller, more air is coming over the car and hitting the car behind it now and creating this void.
On that lap right there, and they've only run 2 laps up to speed, but Jamie McMurray in the one fastest over 198 miles per hour.
Oh, they'll get over 200 when a group like this. It takes about 6 or 8 cars. We got plenty of cars here to get well over that 200 mark.
We got 15 cars in this pack, 16 cars if the straggler joins in. But right now, we haven't seen anyone really bumper to bumper yet. But as you mentioned, they do have that cushion around them that they're trying to maybe almost keep there to be a little bit safe early on in this pack run.
Yeah, some of it's intentional, but I also think some of it is just going to be this car not being able to close that little gap right there.
This is about 14 or 15 drivers, which honestly is about half of the field that we have here for the test session.
And guess what? It's half of the field, and the whole garage area is holding their breath right now, because these cars, there's not a lot of them around. You don't want to tear one up.
And we saw that in the morning session with Tommy Baldwin Racing. When Blaney hits the wall, they had to close up shop because they don't have the parts to fix that car. Most of these teams are in that same situation. Even though there's multiple cars in a team, they don't have enough parts to repair these things to get back out there.
And when you're out there like this, you really, I mean, you're driving the car, but you get yourselves in precarious situations that you don't intend to, that can end up leading to trouble.
That time by, saw speeds once again right around the 196 to 198 range.
You know, Darrell, one thing that I will be interesting to see if
clear mirror, side by side behind him there. Got a 6 rows of 2x2 back there.
It's Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s radio.
TJ Majors talking to him.
Push him to 18 bottom down there. Next 2 cars are clear in your mirror. Side by side your mirror, runs bottom, runs on the bottom, 1 back, half back, with you, right with. No clear. Next 2 cars are clear in your mirror.
We talked
Still
about
with you. He's back. 16's in your mirror there. I think he's back for that 13, trying to get a run there.
Air traffic controllers. These spotters are trying to figure out what their driver needs to make sure if they need to make a move, they can, but they know exactly what's happening around them.
Just think about yesterday when we looked at Jeff Gordon's car, all the mirrors that these guys have in their cars, and then the eyes of the spotter, the driver. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts when you're in a pack like this. Everybody's got to do their job and stay on their toes.
Bob, what's happening with the 24 team?
Well, you speak of Jeff Gordon, and yesterday he told us he wanted to get out in the draft. Well, guess what? He's been up on top of the rig with his crew chief, Alan Gustafson. He's just walked down. He watched the first few laps of this draft session, and that was a calculated move. They wanted to see firsthand what these cars were doing in the draft before they got out there. But Jeff Gordon heading over to his car right now. They are planning to get out in that draft just momentarily.
199.6 that time by.
Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, we had 6 drivers that lap that went over 199 miles per hour.
And guys, I'm seeing what I thought we would see. The driver that has the fastest speed is not the one that's running consistently in the pack. He's the one who gets a little bit of a run and slingshots by these guys.
Pardon the expression, but it's what we call the suck.
Yep.
You're getting the suck from the cars in front of you, and it's sucking you up and increasing your speed.
Darren, what I was going to mention before we started listening to Dale Earnhardt Jr. in his radio communication was here a year ago, and even at Talladega, when a line would form in the second groove, it just, no matter how big it got, it just couldn't overtake the bottom line. We really hadn't had that yet. We had one starting to form, but it almost seems like the bottom is the way to go when you get a line of cars.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think the wake off these cars has something to do with it, but I'm not sure how that'll play out once we, get here and get serious. I just see these guys right now really minding their manners. Nobody's doing any erratic, crazy moves.
What?
No, they are.
2 and 3 wide at Daytona, and we're testing, and you're saying they're minding their manners.
But they're not pushing each other.
That's true.
They're not running into each other. They're not trying to shove somebody past somebody. They're just kind of ebbing and flowing right now.
I tell you what else I noticed. One of the storylines from yesterday, we talked about it on Race Hub last night, was the fact, other than Marcus Ambrose and Eric Almirola, the Ford camp seemed to be searching for speed yesterday in single car runs. Right now, we have 8 Fords in the top 12. The drafts tends to be the equalizer.
Well, we saw that down here last year, Larry. The Fords didn't qualify. Well, they qualified well and raced pretty well, too. So we know they got the steam. They just really look like they got a good car when it comes to race trail.
I would guess that Kyle Busch is going to have a little faster lap this time, as he was able to scoot out and have a big run here. Let's go back to the garage and Bob.
And here's what's really interesting. You're saying they're minding their P's and Q's right now, and I'm sure they're being very patient, very careful out on the racetrack. But listening to some of the radio communication of these teams and the drivers and the spotters, the drivers are saying that they're having a hard time pulling up right to the back bumper of the cars in front of them, and that they feel like just about a car length or a half a car length away from the car in front of them is actually a little bit quicker. So they're learning during this early draft session here at Daytona Testing.
Yeah, it's not by coincidence that gap stays about the same car to car to car. That's got to be that you just can't get any closer than that right now for whatever reason.
Yeah, actually, just watching Martin Truex Jr. in that 56 car that's out front, he almost keeps searching which line does he want to get in front, the bottom line or the outside line.
McMurray had his hands full coming out of turn number 4 there. Fish-tailed coming out of 4. Looks like he's checking off and dropping to the back. Take another look.
Well, I think this is what the guys are all trying to see when Jeff Gordon, you see right there, I mean, that car just about was out of here. I think that's what Jeff Gordon and some of them are watching. How is this car going to handle around other cars with such a small rear blade on it?
And it wasn't like Brad Keselowski in the 2 was pushing him.
Right.
He looked like there was a pretty good gap between he and McMurray in the 1.
That was in front, gap in back.
That's push loose. You come through that corner and you start to push the nose a little bit and you put a little extra wheel in it, then it snaps. That gets you in big trouble.
And luckily he was able to catch it. We saw him put the hand out the window, letting everyone know, okay, I'm done. I'll check up and I'll go to the back.
Now, I will say this about this bunch of guys, these drivers. The longer they do this, the more comfortable they get and the more aggressive they will become.
Sure.
Once they realize, hey, I can go here, I can go there, I can side draft, I can bump draft. Once they get comfortable with this new car, they'll get a little more aggressive.
Few of them are having some impressive runs. Kyle Busch still out in front now. Last time by through turn 4, we saw a pack of 4 make a run. Take a look at the 78.
Whoa now.
Well, what happened there, I think Austin Dillon in the 33, the Cheerios car, he just had left pit road and was trying to get with this pack, and they were so much faster than him, he was just getting up to speed.
I rode around the track yesterday afternoon on the golf cart looking the track over, and the track is immaculate, don't get me wrong, but there is a line kind of a little groove right through the middle of 3 and 4, like a separation, a tad of the
Almost like a seam?
Like a seam. And I thought when I saw that, I said, you know, you hit that with that right angle, it could cause your car to get a little loose or get a little pushy. So there could be a small issue in turn 3 and 4.
A little unbalanced potentially in what we're watching right now. They're going through 3 and 4.
See, Jeff Gordon in the 24, we just got the report on him. He wanted to watch. Now he's in his race car and actually blended in nicely with this pack of cars.
It was funny. Last night I was able to be involved with a Fan Fest program where we had probably 25 or 30 drivers come up and talk to the crowd. And to a man, they all said, we want to get out there with other cars. We want to be out there and get a feel for what this is going to be like around other cars. Well, there's a pretty good sized pack that's learning right now.
Yeah, you have, as dangerous as this may seem, or as much as we don't want to see anything happen to these cars, you have to do this. It's a part of testing. It's a part of the learning. The teams are getting data right now off of what the cars are doing with other cars around them. This is critical in preparing for the Daytona 500.
The other thing, and Darrell mentioned this yesterday, we're about 11, 12, some drivers 13 laps in this run. I think a good run would maybe be around 20 laps. That's about a half of a fuel run, 20 laps on the tires. You're starting to gain a little front nose weight by the fuel burning off, and the back of the car is starting to come up. I think 20 laps is a good run as far as a race run in the draft.
Well, I've mentioned this down here before, but the guys all say that when somebody is tucked up under you down the back straightaway, that car is harder to drive going down the straightaway than it is in the corner. The cars sink into the track in the corner, and they got a lot of grip, but their license, the back end does come up a little bit, and the car's a little bit free going in a straight line. Somebody starts moving around your back bumper, it really upsets the car.
Exactly what Jamie McMurray is explaining right now to his crew. I think something upset my car coming out of turn 4.
Well, yeah, and he probably just got off the oxygen mask, too.
He definitely had to use his hands. I don't think he could verbally describe what all went on out there coming off turn 4.
We have the pictures. We can help him.
That's right. 2 by 2 once again as the pack works its way around this 2.5 mile super speedway.
Now look at Kyle Busch in the 18, the yellow car at the back. He was at the front of this pack. I think he purposely worked his way back there, Darrell, where maybe he can see, can I try to work my way back up through there?
Again, Larry, it's accumulating data. It's telling the team, it's easy. If you go out there and just lead everybody around here for the whole practice, what have you learned? Nothing. But if you get in traffic, get back there, try to work your way back to the front, you're going to find out what your car is like in every situation, and that's what you need to know.
Paul Menard, Kurt Busch joining this group now. They're the two on the inside of this pack, trying to stay up to speed with the group.
This is I tell you, this is very organized. I know folks at home probably think, well, they're just doing this on purpose. No, this is these guys are running flat out, but they're just learning about these cars and being pretty cautious about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're 15, 16 laps into it, still well over 196, 197 miles per hour.
Let's find out what that ride was like from Jamie McMurray. He's down with Bob.
Well, we saw Jamie McMurray climb out of the car.
Problems on the racetrack. Yep, Greg Biffle sideways. As he came out of turn number 4, he straightens it out, brings it onto pit road, and it looks as though we're going to go to caution on the racetrack.
I think he has a right front tire that looks soft. I'm not sure if it may just be from locking it up and sliding. It probably is, but he did exactly what McMurray did. His car got pushy loose right there, and it snapped on him.
Yeah, definitely a right front tire low for Biffle as he pulls it into the garage.
Nice save.
Yeah, take another look.
Yeah, you see he was down under the 18. The car starts up the hill. He puts a little extra wheel in it, and when he does, the back snaps around.
Darrell, I'm quite amazed he was able to drive out of that. I mean, that car was sideways.
What do we always say about him? He's a wheel man.
Yes, he is.
Take one more look at Biffle's wild ride here.
Poor Joey Logano on that 22 wonders what in the world is going on.
How did that happen beside me?
That's a funny way to pit.
All right, let's get back to Bob Dillner, who's standing by with Jamie.
Well, Jamie McMurray was just telling me it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, because these cars are dancing all over the place. Let's get back to your incident. I saw you using a lot of hand language and describing what happened to you with Juan Pablo Montoya, your teammate. What were you telling him?
Well, we were just talking about if the car's draft different than what we had last year. It doesn't really seem like pushing makes a big of a difference, and you can get a really big run on a guy, but the cars seem to stall out quicker. So when you get the run, you have to make the commitment to either go to pass them, because it doesn't seem to benefit you to push them. And I thought my car drove really well. It's just when I got in an odd situation and I got really loose out there. But after watching Greg's, mine looked like child's play. So really nothing to talk about now.
How crazy is the draft, and how much are you having to relearn how to drive these cars in the draft?
Well, it's hard when, I don't know if it's for everybody. For me, when you come back to Daytona or even Talladega, the second race, when you haven't drafted in a while and you go out and do it the first time, it seems crazy, and then it gets easier. The cars are, it's a little bit different. I don't know if they're harder to see out of, but it's different because just the way the windows are shaped. So it takes a little bit to get used to that. But overall, I mean, it was actually pretty fun. The cars are pretty hard to drive, and I know that's what they want. I think the part that we have to figure out is there really wasn't a car close to me, and I got loose, and so we have to work on what we need to do to make the car better in traffic.
Drafting 101 here at Daytona, guys.
Thanks, Bob. And a great statement right there by Jamie McMurray. Here we've seen a day and a half of single car runs, and now Jamie McMurray says we got to figure out how to make this handle better in traffic. And I'm sure Greg Biffle is saying the exact same thing to his team. Let's figure out how to make this thing handle better in traffic.